the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean Diddy Combs.
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the most shocking story of the year. Sean Diddy Combs, the name that has been synonymous with power, prestige, and unimaginable luxury for decades, now finds himself in circumstances that even his harshest critics couldn't have predicted. The man who once defined the very essence of success in the entertainment industry is now facing the cold, harsh reality of life behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. The contrast between his former life of opulence and his current situation is nothing short of staggering. From chart-topping hits to mogul status, Diddy spent years crafting an image of untouchable dominance in the entertainment world. Now, as we enter this new year, that carefully constructed facade is crumbling before our very eyes. The transition from private jets and designer suits to steel bunks and fluorescent lights has been, as our sources reveal, absolutely devastating. And let me tell you, the adjustment to this new reality has been anything but smooth.
Wow.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment, as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
The details emerging from behind those prison walls are absolutely jaw-dropping, my friends. The psychological impact of this dramatic fall from grace has been nothing short of catastrophic for the music mogul. Our exclusive sources, who are intimately familiar with the situation, paint a picture of a man struggling to comprehend his new reality. This is someone who's always lived on his own terms, revealed our insider, their voice trembling with the weight of their words. To go from that level of absolute control to having every minute of your day dictated by someone else, it's completely destroying him. The transformation is written all over his face. Recent court appearances have left onlookers gasping, and not in a good way. The Diddy we knew, the one who commanded attention with his mere presence, has been replaced by someone visibly thinner, noticeably grayer, and shockingly diminished. The larger-than-life figure who once dominated red carpets and boardrooms with equal aplomb is barely recognizable. The deterioration in his appearance tells a story more powerful than words ever could.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
But here's where things get even more intense. The level of paranoia and fear for his personal safety has reached such extreme levels that prison authorities have been forced to take extraordinary measures. Diddy has been placed in the Special Housing Unit, a section typically reserved for inmates who either pose a risk or need protection from others. While this isolation might shield him from potential threats, it comes with its own psychological torture. Imagine going from being the center of attention at star-studded events to spending countless hours alone with nothing but the weight of your thoughts and the sound of your own breathing. The isolation is reportedly taking a devastating toll on his psyche, forcing him to confront not just the loss of his freedom, but the potential destruction of everything he's built over the decades.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping.
The ripple effects of this incarceration extend far beyond the prison walls, creating waves of emotional turmoil that have engulfed his entire family. During a recent court hearing, observers witnessed a moment so raw and vulnerable that it left many in tears. Diddy, the man who always projected an image of unwavering strength, was seen mouthing the words, "You okay?" to one of his sons in the gallery. The pain and concern etched across his face in that moment spoke volumes about the toll this ordeal is taking on both him and his loved ones. His children, who grew up in an environment of unlimited privilege and luxury, are now forced to process the jarring image of their father in a prison jumpsuit, a stark and brutal reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in this unforgiving world.
Did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant. And not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
The public reaction to Diddy's current situation has been nothing short of explosive. The entertainment world is completely divided, with some steadfastly defending the mogul, while others are practically dancing on what they perceive to be the ruins of his empire. The allegations that have surfaced, ranging from coercion to organized misconduct, have painted such a damning picture that even his most loyal supporters are beginning to question everything they thought they knew about the man behind the music. His legal team has been working around the clock, proposing elaborate bail packages worth millions and suggesting house arrest options that would make most luxury resorts look modest. But the courts have remained unmoved, citing serious concerns about potential witness tampering and flight risk. Their unwavering stance has left Diddy with no choice but to remain behind bars until his trial begins in May, a reality that's proving increasingly difficult for him to accept. The situation has become so dire that reports have emerged of emotional outbursts within the detention center. One particularly troubling incident involved Diddy allegedly begging officials to take him to the prison hospital, claiming he was on the verge of a complete breakdown. While his legal team has attempted to downplay these episodes as normal stress reactions to an unfamiliar environment, the whispers about his deteriorating mental state continue to grow louder with each passing day.
Not buying it all, Kana, and safety can mean a couple different things. Safety just doesn't mean free from harm of violence. Safety can also too mean emotional and mental dynamics that could occur by Sean Combs reaching out to potential witness to get them to possibly change their testimony.
And perhaps the most devastating aspect of this entire ordeal is the systematic destruction of Diddy's carefully crafted public image. For years, he wasn't just another musician or businessman. He was the very embodiment of ambition and success, a brand unto himself that inspired millions. To witness that image being tarnished so publicly and dramatically has been nothing short of earth-shattering. His legal team has launched counterattacks, accusing prosecutors of orchestrating a calculated smear campaign. They point to leaked videos and perfectly timed media releases as evidence of a coordinated effort to destroy their client's reputation. But regardless of whether these claims hold any merit, one thing remains painfully clear. The court of public opinion has already started delivering its verdict, and it's not looking favorable for the once untouchable mogul.
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
The stark contrast between Diddy's former life and his current reality at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn continues to captivate the public's imagination. The transformation from a man who once commanded respect in every room he entered to someone struggling to maintain his dignity behind bars is nothing short of extraordinary. His days of private jets, designer suits, and A-list parties have been replaced by the harsh realities of one of the country's most notorious detention facilities. The whispers about his behavior behind those forbidding walls grow more intriguing with each passing day, painting a picture of a man struggling to reconcile his new reality with the life he once knew.
And he is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
Our sources inside the facility have provided absolutely shocking details about Diddy's daily life in detention. The man who once presided over a vast empire now finds himself confined to a cell that would barely qualify as a walk-in closet in any of his former residences. The conditions at the facility have been described as nothing short of nightmarish, with former inmates using terms like hell on earth to describe the overcrowding, constant tension, and ever-present threat of violence. And despite his celebrity status and considerable resources, Diddy is receiving no special treatment, a reality that's proving particularly difficult for someone who's spent decades accustomed to the very best of everything.
If you say the wrong thing or you complain or I don't know, there's an element where you're just, I guess, manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing. Or, when they're constantly asking, would you like to do and you're like, well, I don't do and they're like, well, why don't you do?
The psychological impact of this dramatic lifestyle change has been perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this entire saga. Those with intimate knowledge of the situation report that the combination of legal pressures and the harsh realities of incarceration are pushing Diddy to his absolute limits. The rumors of his emotional breakdown and desperate plea to be taken to the prison hospital while officially dismissed by his team as simple adjustment difficulties speak to a deeper truth about the fragility of even the most seemingly invincible figures. Adding another layer to this complex situation is Diddy's reported refusal to consume standard prison meals. According to a prison consultant who's intimately familiar with these matters, this decision stems from a deep-seated fear of potential tampering. For someone in his position, the consultant explained, the risk of someone with outside connections bribing a prison worker to contaminate his food isn't just paranoia, it's a legitimate concern. Instead of regular prison fare, Diddy has reportedly been sustaining himself on commissary items like chips and prepackaged snacks, a far cry from the gourmet meals that once graced his table.
He was using, allegedly, these events to invite them back to these private mansion parties and hotel parties and God knows what else. But he was utilizing the branded events to be able to, get the girls to come over to his private spaces.
The isolation of the special housing unit, while providing a measure of protection, has added yet another layer of psychological strain to Diddy's already challenging situation. Being separated from the general prison population might keep him safe from potential threats, but the cost of this safety is steep. Spending nearly every hour of every day in relative solitude is taking its toll on someone who built their entire career on being the center of attention. The contrast between his current solitary existence and the vibrant social life he enjoyed just months ago couldn't be more stark or more psychologically damaging.
There is so many people involved in this situation that works the machine here. That, Diddy's obviously the head of the whole situation, the king of parties, but there is multiple other people involved that are helping along the situation or participating in.
The legal battle continues to intensify as Diddy's team fights what increasingly appears to be an uphill struggle to secure his release. Every attempt has been met with firm resistance from the courts, who appear unmoved by even the most generous bail proposals. The prosecution's portrayal of Diddy as both a flight risk and a potential threat to the integrity of the investigation has proven particularly damaging. These concerns, combined with his considerable resources and international connections, have effectively sealed his fate until the trial begins. The conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center have become a story in themselves, with reports of overcrowding, unsanitary facilities, and inadequate medical care making headlines. Former inmates have described it as a place where hope goes to die, and even hardened judges have expressed reluctance to send defendants there. For someone like Diddy, accustomed to the highest standards of living, the adjustment to these conditions has been particularly brutal. Sources indicate he's struggling with everything from the quality of the food to the complete lack of privacy, basic conditions that stand in shocking contrast to his former lifestyle.
I'm not surprised with the decision. I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee.
The high-profile nature of his case has added an extra layer of complexity to his incarceration. Every detail of his time behind bars becomes fodder for public consumption, amplifying the pressure of an already challenging situation. Debates rage about whether his celebrity status makes him more vulnerable within the facility or whether his wealth should entitle him to better treatment. Arguments that have only intensified the scrutiny surrounding his case. The emotional toll of separation from his family has proven particularly challenging. The transformation in his demeanor during family visits is stark, with the usually composed mogul showing rare moments of vulnerability. That poignant moment in court when he checked on his son's well-being revealed a side of Diddy that the public rarely sees. A father deeply concerned about the impact his situation is having on his children.
And the risk of flight was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes. but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more evidence.
Just when it seemed the situation couldn't become more complicated, new allegations have emerged that threaten to further damage Diddy's reputation. A former assistant has come forward with explosive claims about working in what they describe as a toxic and chaotic environment. The lawsuit paints a picture of outrageous demands and wild parties that often spiraled out of control, leaving destruction in their wake. Perhaps most damaging are the allegations about hotel staff being paid to maintain silence about certain incidents, claims that seem to suggest a pattern of behavior that extends far beyond isolated incidents.
Combs get another shot with Judge Subramanian? Or what will be his likelihood of success in a different court? Because there's currently a pending appeal at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. So to get into all of this, I want to bring on former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, friend of the show. Nima, thanks so much for coming on. First, before we even get into what he can do next, were you surprised?
The most recent bombshell to rock this ongoing saga comes from LaTroy Grayson, whose harrowing account of her experience at one of Diddy's infamous parties has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. What began as an exciting radio contest prize, an all-expenses-paid trip to one of the most exclusive events in the industry, allegedly turned into a nightmare beyond imagination. Grayson's account of being separated from her companion, being given drinks that left her feeling unwell, and ultimately waking up in a hospital with no memory of the intervening events has added yet another dark chapter to this unfolding story. Her decision to step forward now, identifying herself publicly rather than remaining anonymous, has lent significant weight to her allegations. The lawsuit she's filed doesn't just target Diddy. It extends to the radio station that ran the contest and the hotel where the events allegedly took place, suggesting a broader network of enablers who facilitated these situations.
Is illustrating is this completely out of control party on a super yacht, including various celebrities, that when you read it, it kind of rings true. I mean, when you read it, it doesn't come off as being something that's completely unbelievable. You have to take into consideration that
as this complex saga continues to unfold, the narrative surrounding Diddy becomes increasingly complicated. The stark contrast between his public persona, the self-made success story who inspired millions, and the troubling picture painted by mounting allegations has left many struggling to reconcile these two very different versions of the same man. The question of whether he can ever recover from this devastating fall from grace hangs heavy in the air. For now, Diddy remains in his cell, awaiting a trial that promises to be one of the most closely watched legal proceedings in recent memory. The stakes couldn't be higher. His freedom, his reputation, and the legacy he spent decades building all hang in the balance. The outcome of this case will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications, not just for Diddy himself, but for the entire entertainment industry.